Hi, I'm Zacharias. I'm the Senior Curator of Education and History here at the Museum of Arts and Sciences. I'm at the Cici and Hyatt Brown Museum of Art, and I'm in the Masterworks Gallery. And there's so many incredible paintings, and I have so many favorites, and I want to share one with you right now. And this is called Dr. Vedder's, or Vedder's Corner in St. Augustine in 1889. And it's a small piece. It's a tourist piece that was painted so that somebody could purchase this and take it home. But it's really fascinating because Frank Henry Shapleigh was known really for painting the White Mountains in New Hampshire, but he was a regular winter visitor down to St. Augustine and became an artist in residence at the Ponce de Leon Hotel, the very famous resort, which is now the Flagler College. But he painted this really interesting painting, Dr. Vedder's Museum and Menagerie. It was a dentist's office / kind of like kooky, crazy natural history museum. So you could go in there and get dentist work done, and you could see these crazy specimens that he had in there, like monster man-eating shark and snakes and maybe live alligators and stuffed otters and stuffed birds. Eventually, people became more infatuated or more impressed by the Natural History Museum, and he basically closed the dentist part of his office and just basically went with the museum. Now, the building's really interesting. It was originally called the Panton and Leslie Building, and it was right not too far from the Bridge of Lions. And I find it fascinating because in the Gilded Age, from 1865 to 1900, many wealthy visitors came down to St. Augustine for warm winters, a sportsman's paradise, for their health, many different reasons. But one of the recommendations that you had, because you had the rise of guidebooks in the Victorian age as well, and one of the #1 recommendations before you went to Florida was to have your teeth checked, because you didn't want a toothache when you went down to Florida, because you might end up at Dr. Vedder's Museum and Menagerie and Dentist Office, and he was a self-taught itinerant dentist. So that was one of the #1 recommendations that you would do before you came to Florida. The painting is really cool. It's really amazing. It's got the typical Florida sky. The buildings take up most of the composition. And then you have everyday people going about their business, and very detailed, very topographical like painter. He was very, very prolific. And even a few horses here in the corner of the composition. Sadly, this building was burned in 1914 in a massive urban fire that happened in part of the historic district. It was called the St. Augustine Holocaust of 1914. And again, sadly, for a second reason, it housed the Historical Society at that time, and it lost all the historical records of the city at that time.